said she was. She wanna do it in the morning, afternoon, and in the evening. We freaking. She love to get it on. Yeah, I had to sleep with one eye open, but this woman won't leave me alone. No, she won't. I had to sleep with one eye open, yeah, but this woman won't leave me alone. No, she won't. All she wanna do is make love.
All right. We're back. We're back. Welcome back, man, to another edition of the Chatterbox TV with yours truly, King Jacob. And man, we have another sensational episode for you with a superstar who definitely doesn't need much introduction, but I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself and we'll get started into his journey. Go ahead, my man.
Right. BlackGodComics. Um, honored to be here, man. You know what I mean? Pleasure to be here and just ready to chop it up.
Okay, great, man. So if you can if you can tell us a little bit about your journey, man, and how you got into, you know, um, being a black comic, but most important, man, just a creative writer overall, man. Because what you're doing is so creative, man, and it's something that definitely needs to um, have light shined on it, man. So tell us how you got started.
Uh, yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. I've been loving life. I was a super fan of comic books. Batman specifically. Um, so I was always playing with making comic books as a kid. I used to take notebooks and draw, doodle, stick figures, and then stick figures turn to block people. And what really made me take it serious was when I started collecting graphic novels, and I was seeing that these guys aren't the best artists, but they're telling stories, like, and not just superhero stories, but crime thrillers, horror stories. I don't know if you heard of Donald Goines, but I had comic books of some of his books.
Okay.
So I had comic books of Donald Goines' books. For me, I always saw comic books as like a movies. So that's when I got into comic books because I had stories. Like I liked a lot of crime movies and action movies or crime dramas. So I was like, hey, what if we made comics? I used to come to my homies and all the time and say, hey, let's do them because I thought of so many. Then I just kept practicing, and practicing. And
Mm. Okay, so man, like the creation of making um a comic book, right? And cause it's such dope creativity along with dope animation. You know what I mean? And so how was that process though, man? And how long does it really take to really come up with the characters and the storylines and the storyboards and stuff like that?
I say for me, doing a comic book now, like for my own, I just think my own. It doesn't take me long. I think the longest part is coming up with a strong idea, like an idea I'm confident in. Like so with character designs, I have to like the design. So I'm somebody. If I draw a design 50 times, if I don't get that first, yeah, I'm gonna throw it away. So that's the hardest part is coming up with a strong concept that you're confident in, that you're not second guessing. That's the hard part. So like I go through a lot of drafts, write out things. I run it by my wife. My wife is like my story editor, so I run it by her. She gives me that, and it's corny. We again. That's the hard part. Once I get an idea, then I treat it like I'm storyboarding a movie. So I'll like say if I want to do 20 pages, I'll like do real rough sketches of what I want to happen. Like I don't write scripts. I just draw it out. I storyboard it. And then when I storyboard it, I write this here, this is what'll be said, and then I'll play dialogue once I do the artwork to make everything sound natural, fit what I drew. So it is a long process to me. The longest it takes, like I'm doing an issue for my now, the longest it takes for me to lay out a book, maybe I could do 20 pages in a month, easy, inked, laid out, like finished in a 22 pages, and that's with doing other stuff too. So, and
Okay. Wow. So with you being such a creative person, was you always a freelance artist in your youth years?
yeah. I'm still freelance now. To be honest, so,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, like
Okay. Okay.
my
Okay.
big work with people, like I didn't really care about your prestige. I cared about if I believed in the concept. Like the two books I work with the homies now, uh, my man's does Yonder on James Marsh, and then I had another homie, Melody Crown, Caleb Lapsley. So I illustrated for them. So I did Grimbone on my own, illustrated for them. These guys weren't like famous authors or anything. Out with an idea I thought was creative, and I just gave it my all. And I got to improve while working with them. I got to improve in my paneling, so it's easier for y'all to follow. You know what I mean? Like people think well, it's just the pretty pictures, but it's not just the art. It's also like the paneling of it. So, like, if I just draw good pictures, but I don't panel it well, you don't really know where to follow the art. So you
Hmm.
the page just scatterbrained. But when you panel it the right way, like a storyboard, it makes it it makes it engaging for you to read it, and it makes it exciting because you know what's going on. That lets your imagination imagine things in motion.
Okay.
Uh, so it took a lot of practice to get to science to do so. I'm still not perfect at it. The greats and what they do, and then I just Jim Lee's the Dwayne McDuffie's. He's a black writer, by the way.
Hmm.
That's my idol when it comes to black authors specifically. Um, but I look at how a lot of people just the paneling mattered. Like, so it's been a process that I got to work with other people, but freelancing helped because I work with a lot of different types of people as well who wanted
Okay.
different things to learn to adapt.
Okay. Okay. And so what has been the most challenging thing for you as a creative artist and a creative writer?
Um, the challenging thing, I would say, was learning how to work with other people because I was so used to having to do everything on my own. Because usually with a comic book, I mean, people do it on now, but like usually with like comics in them, you have a penciler, you have an inker, you have a letterer, five people on one book, so it makes a process easier. Um, hardest part is the fact that I have to basically redraw the same thing 5 times. I have to draw it in pencil, I have to ink it, I have to shade it, I have to scan it, I have to draw over it again, and then I have to color. So I got to
Man,
draw this 5 times. Uh,
wow. That's wow. That's whoa. Man, listen. That's called discipline and patience, man. Like, bro.
yeah. Now I have to do that. Most people that draw digitally and they do everything else, but I don't like drawing digital. If I do as much as I can on paper,
Okay.
so I
So are you a good digital artist as well?
I can replicate my style pretty accurately for paper. Don't like to, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
it
Like
does. It does. It does. It does. You you like that hands-on process without the digital programs and stuff like that. I understand. I understand.
it's a comfort zone thing for me. Like I'm just more comfortable, but on digital and people think it's my paper stuff. Yeah, a lot of times actually, because you're doing it from a pain. You're just trying to get it done to make it look. I don't got the time to do it on paper, so I can do it digitally. But if I had a choice, I'm always going to do everything on paper. So
Okay, okay. And so with you being such a creative person and being such hands on, man, Do you ever get so busy till you have to outsource some of your work?
I will say I have gotten busy while I have outsourced some of my work, but I've never outsourced. No,
Okay.
not even teamwork, but the opposite. If I have homies, comics too. Hey man, I got to look for something. I got too much shit on my plate. I got too much. Um,
Okay. And so I would say, man, I didn't realize until about right before COVID, somebody told me that they was going out of town. I said, "Where you going, man?" They said, "I'm going to the to a comic book convention." I said, "Say what?" You say you're going to a comic book convention, and I was like, "Yeah." It was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "So with you going to the comic book conventions, man, what is that like?" They was like, "Man, you wouldn't believe the masses amount of people that are still into comic books." And so, man, did you go to the conventions as well?
I'm gonna keep it tall. I haven't went to that many conventions in my life, to be honest.
Okay.
I think who I grew up around like not to be fun. I grew up around street guys. Like I was the nerd amongst my so like they didn't go to conventions, so I didn't. um,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
but I did go one time as a kid, and it was like one of the times in my life. Like I met Lou Ferrigno, who was the Hulk. Uh,
Right. Right.
in person, he's huge in person. He's the giant in person. Um, but it was super fun. Like it's mad people there. Like it'd be a lot of us at these places too. It'd be a lot of
I
us.
know.
Like I've always wanted to tell people that like they think there's not that many comic books. It is a lot of comic books. It's just we don't know we're not in comic books, so we don't engage with it because we think it's not a space for us. But it's a lot of us out here, and so it was really fun going to that. That was
Right. Right. Just want to give a shout out to my homie Jonathan Jonathan Coleman, man. A good friend of mine. Dope PR. Um, you know, uh, man, listen. This guy great. So thanks for plugging this interview. And Jonathan says, I've been there, but only as a fan. The next time I'll be there as a creator. Yeah, that is pretty dope. That is pretty dope. That you can go to the convention in a creative space, and like I realized that it's a whole bunch of black and brown people that are into comic books, that love comic books, that are creators, and that have collector items of comic books. So you know what I mean, and some of them comic books sell for a whole lot of money, man, whole lot of money. Like I tell people, man, you will be surprised, man. Some of them comic books sell for more than, man. It's like baseball card money, like a Babe Ruth or collector's item baseball cards, and it's the same with comic books.
I'll tell
And
you, Nicolas Cage actually got out of debt selling his copy of Action Comics number, the first ever Superman. He's
right,
$1.5 million.
wow, wow. and John said, bro, sometimes it be some five sisters at these conventions too. Believe it or not. That is what's up, brother.
Right now, I'm gonna tell if you single and you were nervous faces thinking that you're not gonna see no chocolate comic book convention, I'm gonna tell you now, you're gonna go in there pleasantly surprised. And you're gonna see a lot of women enjoying themselves. A lot of our women are nerds.
Believe that. Yeah, they are. They are. They are, man. So man, how is the process of a person getting their creative writing, their comic book out there to let the masses know? How difficult is that process?
Two things. It is pretty hard. It takes time and consistency. If you're doing comic books, you need. first. If you're in it for a quick buck, if you're in it because you want a lot of attention, that's 1 in a million, to be honest. So you may be wasting your time. But if you love it, love creating stories, if you love working with people, you may not get where you want it to be, but you will get progress. People will notice, because in this industry, it's either you do or die. The people who are playing and wasting time, they're not going to last long, because it's not easy to make a comic book. It's not easy to find an artist who's going to work with you. So for anybody who wants to get out there, like, I've been doing this for like 10 years, and I'm just now getting a little bit of light to what I've been doing. You know what I mean? And I've worked with multiple people. I've been on contract with people for years and change. But at the end of the day, I still wasn't getting the notice I thought I should have got, because I had to work. You know what I mean? It comes when it comes. So for anybody, especially someone from our community, someone who's black or brown who's trying to get into comic books, work with your community. Do not be scared to work with a black or brown artist who may not have the money to pay you, but he's willing to work with you, willing to work with them. Like, some people I work with, it's not about the money. It's about, at the end of the day, some people in our community can't afford to drop hundreds and hundreds of dollars on an artist. You know what I mean? But it feels good to work and build with each other, and let's try to make money together, is what I'm saying. Sometimes that's what I'm saying. Like, it's hard, but if we work together, it's easy. But everybody want to be their own boss. So that's where the difficulty
Okay, okay. So with saying that, man, are the comic books sold more in a hand in hand comeback digitally, or through what we call website marketing?
comes. For me, my comic book is sold on. For me, I got Grimbone that's out now. It sells on Amazon. Me, I do have a website, BlackGodComics.com.
Right.
Getting another publisher where I can start printing my physicals more regularly, other than Amazon. Like, Amazon's cool, but I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't want to keep dropping that bread to put it on Amazon all the time versus finding a direct to print thing that I can get it directly in our hands. So
Hmm.
once I get that, that's gonna be on the website for me, for physicals. But I use Amazon right now. So right, I get that established. I use Amazon, and
Okay.
I promote through social media, or like podcast interviews, and just pay for promotion and things like that.
Okay. So with that being said, do your co- do your direct community always want to buy physical copies from you to actually get a signed physical copy?
Yeah, I noticed most people with me, like, when I was working with other people, like, hey man, we got our stuff on Amazon. Check the link, it's on Amazon. They're like, no. They're like, yeah, it's there, but like, they don't want to read it on their phone. They want it in their hand. Um, so when I started getting physicals from the products I was doing, that's when my traction started coming, because everyone does. They got it in their hand, they don't believe you.
Mm. What's interesting about you and the rest of the comic creators? I think with me being a PR as well, and with me being connected with a lot of educators and a lot of politicians, senators, some senators, county councilmen, city councilmen, um, superintendent of school board. What I really think is a comic like yourself that's been perfecting their craft for a long time. Um, an education comic book, science, math, creative writing, um, English, as far as getting the school system to buy a certain amount of comic books every projected year. You know what I mean? Like the school may want 5,000 comic books every year, and these comic books maybe it's kindergarten through sixth grade, and then kindergarten through fifth grade, and then six through eight. You know what I mean? But different grades will have a different series of comic books. So I think that's something that you should definitely put into thought as far as getting through the school system. And since you are a creative writer, there's a lot of government contracts that you can get, especially if you're going to be dealing with education, or if you if you if you're dealing with writing literature that helps people learn in a different type of manner, a different type of way. So you have those government contracts out there that anywhere from 5,000 all the way up to 3.5 million.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So if ain't nobody ever told you that, I'm here to tell you, brother. You know
I
what I mean?
appreciate you.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you, man. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with my man Alan. You know, creator, writer. You know, um, comic book head and a comic book creator, man, and just a dope brother all the way around. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Shout out to the men that just came home from jail and said no matter what the circumstances is, I'm never going back. Shout out to the men that said I'm tired of neglecting my children. I'm stepping up and being a man for my children, teaching them morals, honor, responsibility. Shout out to the men that say, you know what, I'm tired of sleeping on that couch. I'm tired of using my mother. I'm tired of using that girl. I'm going to step up and be a man for me. Shout out to the men that just graduated from college or going to college. Shout out to the men that graduated from trade school. Shout out to the men that say, yo, I'm just tired of being tired and I need to make a change. Shout out to the men that stayed there, that's raising their children. Shout out to the men that's getting married or want to stay married. Shout out to the men that's taking care of children that's not biologically theirs. Shout out to the men that's trying to figure it out. Shout out to the men because you are a beautiful soul. Shout out to the men that's just being a part of everybody's life to make a change, man. Stop the violence.
Shout out to the men that's making a change, that stand up for something, and the men that create peace, love, and education, and put our children in a safe space. So shout out to the men. And I tend to play that doing a lot of my interviews, man. As a reason of a promotional message, man, because us men don't really support one another like that, and so we got to learn to support one another. We got to learn to, have a safe space for our brethren. You know what I mean? So and that's why I'm definitely glad that you're definitely on the show tonight for this episode, because I know you can relate to that as well, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So man, back to it, man. Do you ever see any of your comic books turning into a movie or a TV series?
Yes, I do. Grimbone. Well, most of my stuff I imagine animated in my head. I see it animated in my head. Like I originally always wanted to do movies, but kind of like an alternative. So Grimbone especially I see animated. Like I imagine every season animated, from how it's animated, who I'd have animated, the whole nine. So that's I see most of my stuff like that as movies. So when I try to draw it, I try to convey motion as best as I can. I've learned every technique of conveying emotion I try, because like the process of is beautiful. It's time consuming, but it's beautiful to watch people draw these images and simulate motion, and seeing what people could do with pen and paper is insane. Um, I love animation. I would love my stuff to be animated. I think Grimbone, for art graphics specifically, is like the ultimate kid cartoon, because it's about a family of parents raising their children. And most of the time, like kids have powers in stories where their parents like heroes. The parents are never around for real. Like, parents are never present. The kids are on their own, which makes the parents look neglectful, kind of.
Right.
Um, so with Grimbone, the fun part was writing scenarios where the kids are characters and the kids are bad guys, but a lot of it is the parents are always there when it gets too much for them. The parents are never out of the where the kids are just fending for themselves. So I had to find really creative ways to keep the kids isolated to still confront their own challenges on their own. I couldn't really excited for families to read Grimbone because I that with families in mind. Like, you know, a lot of the stories end with the parents having to talk to their kids about what happened, like what's going on, like why did you preach? So he was saying about education, kind of funny. The Grimbone, I gave it a lot of fluff that these kids love, fight scenes, power systems, like awesome. But I wanted it to be really teaching strong family values in our community, and not what they say family values, like nationalism, like actual family values of, hey, parents need to be involved in their kids' life. Parents need to actually listen to their children and not just, you know, hear their children.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to their grievances. Admit you're wrong to your children. Admit you've made mistakes. Improve. Know you can be better. Know that they can tell you that they're displeased with what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
children have a right to be confident and speak up for themselves, but adults also have a responsibility to be there and do what's right by those children. And I wanted a story that reflected those types of values, because I think more than anything, we need media from our community that shows the power of Black families, specifically of what it looks like to have strong parents.
Yeah.
For
You're right. You're absolutely right, man. But yeah, I would definitely love to see, you know, the animation TV series. And you know, when I talk about TV series, me myself, man, when somebody said, "Well, I want to do a TV series," the first thing I ask them, "Well, how many seasons and how many episodes per season?"
right.
You know, I mean, if you're gonna do a TV series that's gonna be memorable to people, I think you at least need, you know, per season at least 6 to 8 episodes per season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I say a minute. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I had to break it up to season, and it's definitely like seasons. I grew up on anime where they do 22 episodes a season, so it might be a little lengthy. And I don't try to make my stories long per se, but I try to get as much out of them as I can, if that makes sense. I don't like wasting a
Mm.
concept. Like if you come, like Grimbone is about a world where um these parents basically took on the role of Grim Reapers, and they have to basically ferry souls from heaven and hell. These souls can live on Earth by their own decision. So the Grim Knights kind of protect that, protect souls. They protect human beings. Now, the Grim Knights about their kids. So their kids are children of Grim Reapers in a world where like werewolf monsters type of live, but live amongst them. Like their kids will be going to school, and their classmates, like the other ones, are vampires. But it's like they're just there, like they're just kids in school. So they live in this world where like the parents are like, if you read Batman, like the parents are like the stand-in for the Batman family, and the
Hmm.
kids stand-in for Robins. But so it follows like these children as watching their parents, you know, kind of protect these souls that are stuck in between life and death, to give them the chance to pass on peace. So I wanted a story that communicated those themes and fleshed out the world. So it's so many story arcs I thought that fleshed out the world to you guys. Like, you know, how did the world get that way? Why is the world this way? What made the parents do it? What type of creatures existed? There was a war that made their world happen. Who was the size of the war? How the world exists, and how do I show that to y'all without telling y'all? How do I show y'all how big the world is without just telling you this is what happened or that what happened? And that's why things tend to be long for me, because I like to draw out every detail of my world. I don't want to spoil nothing, because but it's so much ideas I have for Grimbone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the next arc I have now is like 7 issues by itself. So like by itself, there's like 100 something pages that I'm ready to do. I'm excited.
Wow. That's dope. That's real dope. That's real dope. So man, before we get out of here, man, tell us what you got coming up next and any big announcements that you have, and what can people connect with you at?
Yeah, definitely. As far as what I got coming next, before the summer's over, I'm dropping the next 3 issues of Grimbone, next 4, and I'm trying to put a volume together, all uh, 6 issues, which would be like 200 something pages. Hopefully by the end of summer, I can have that out. I'm also working with my man, James Marsh from ADR Comics, working on Yonder, the first one. We're working on the volume now. In the staff, I'm working on issue 8, but we only released 2 issues. So a lot is coming out now, but I'm working ahead. And me and Jonathan have a collaboration coming later down the pipeline. I know he's doing his right now, so we don't have a definite date on that, but got a few working on now, and I just gonna keep it going. Hopefully, more comes down the pipeline. You know, I'm always working. So
Okay. I see you. I see you got some irons in the fire. So that's what's up, man. And man, I just want to say, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. And man, I think that I look forward to seeing you, with these TV series with a with a documentary with you and other comics, talking about the lifestyle, as a comic, the creative writing part, and y'all just sharing y'all space and sharing y'all experiences, and dropping that somewhere on like Hulu, Netflix, or wherever you may drop it at, man. Cause or even partner up with some of these conventions once you put that documentary out. You know what I'm saying? So they can have that showing live on the big screen at the convention. Oh, they be like, oh, there he go right there.
hey, if anyone's going to be in the Fort Smith area, I am going to be at the convention they're having in Fort Smith in June 13th. So that will be now. I got a book to promote. I got a book that's out. I can actually be at the convention now. So I'll be at the next convention this summer. I'm excited as well. And yeah, like you said, I might have to shoot my own documentary. Shoot documentary and just ship it out. See just the lifestyle of indie comic book artist. And
Yeah.
but yeah, if people follow the process, BlackGodComics on most social media, if, if not all social media, or you can go on TikTok, Outer Artist, also BlackGodComics. I post the in process of so character concept. Like I was doing a Batman Elseworld story at one point in time. Crazy
Hmm.
has to do. It never came out. Artwork. Um, Also my Patreon. So if you want to see my comic books before I publish them, anyone who subscribes to my Patreon, which is free, you can subscribe for free. But also if you want to help out, $5 as well. That's all I ever asked for. I post my comics there first. So if you don't got the physicals and you're waiting on physicals, like I only put out one issue of only one issue. But if you want issue 2 and 3, you can read those on Patreon before I've dropped it
Okay. Okay. That's dope, man. You heard it first, man. He gave you all these social media outlets, man. I want to thank you, my brother, for coming on, man. And we'll be doing a follow up in interview, maybe after the summertime, to really see how your summer was, and see what you got going on for the winter. And man, shout out to you for coming through. Shout out to Jonathan Coleman for plugging it, man. And everybody, I want y'all to be blessed, stay peaceful, and most of all, stay encouraged. Peace and blessings. We out of here.